Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. I'm here today with one of the OGs on the channel, familiar face in Bullony Basketball, my guy Suns Geek. How's it going, my man?
Doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me back on the show. I know that I've been super busy. I know you're busy, but I'm glad our schedules finally matched up. Ready to talk some NBA, and thank you so much for having me back on.
Yes, sir. I feel like it's a tradition at this point. I feel like you've been on since what, like season 2, is it? So,
Feels that way, yeah.
gotta keep the tradition alive. You know what I mean? So, but why don't we start with a team spotlight on the Phoenix Suns? I know I did this a few weeks ago when our guy Romp 2.0 was on. We talked about the Sixers. So why don't we talk about your Phoenix Suns and where they are right now in the season? You guys started off, I feel like, really strong, and a few people went out like with injuries, most notably Durant, and then Beal was out for a little bit, and then it kind of looked a little bit rocky, but you guys have kind of bounced back a little bit since. What's your outtake on the season so far?
I'm optimistic, man, and I know that's sort of how a lot of fans and other people view me as like the most positive, optimistic Suns fan, but I like to really do believe that numbers do not lie. And at the time of this recording, I believe we are 10-2 with Kevin Durant on the court. And I think we have a similar record with two of the big three on the court at all times.
Yep.
So that's sort of my debate or whatever, and why I stay positive, because I'm sure you know this as a Chicago Bulls fan. Anytime your team loses, the fan base melts down and the season's over. But I'm like, we won 7 or 8 games in a row. We have a really good record with Kevin Durant on the team. We have a much deeper team this year with veterans who know how to win. And even though we have been dealing with injuries, and at the time of this recording, we still are dealing with injuries, we are deep. We are loaded. We have a great coaching staff. And we finally have not just one point guard, but 2 point guards who really control the pace, really control the tempo. It's rare if they turn the ball over. And Kevin Durant has been playing out of his mind. If he didn't get hurt recently, he would probably be up there. And he still is in a way up there in that MVP race, but he would be much higher if he didn't get hurt. Devin Booker's bounced back for the most part. He kind of had a rocky start to the season. I know my answer is long-winded, but I am staying positive. I believe in my Phoenix Suns. And again, we have a winning record with Kevin Durant on the court.
Yeah, the only difference between what you said there about the Suns and the Bulls is that our season actually is over when that
Right.
happens. No, but like you said, like especially even with the big three, and this even dates back to last season, which I know like some people were thinking like, oh, like not a great season for the Suns and stuff like that. But when the big three played, like you guys had the most success,
Yep.
which says a lot because there were times when it felt like maybe the fit wasn't totally there, and it looks a little bit better so far this season, I would say. You mentioned the 2 point guards with Tyus Jones and then Monte Morris. Like, you know, was checking as well. You guys last year, I think, were ranked like 25th in turnovers in the league, and
Yeah.
right now you're ranked like 10th, which
Yep.
is way better. That's like more than half the league just went behind you guys in that department. So that's big there. And then like just kind of like finding the fit for other guys too. I mean, like you know how I feel about Grayson Allen, especially in the playoffs and stuff. But right now he hasn't played all too bad. I think Royce O'Neal has played pretty good, and then Ryan Dunn too. Like, don't
Yep.
sleep on Ryan Dunn.
Yeah, don't sleep on Ryan Dunn, and don't sleep on Oso Ighodaro, who
Yep.
his numbers won't blow you away, but when he's out there, he is super productive. He is one of the better cutters on the team and one of the better passers too. I think his passing is a little underrated. Now, he was pretty good at passing in college, but there's times where sometimes the offense sort of runs through him and plays are made because of Oso Ighodaro. Now, Ryan Dunn's shooting has come down a little bit. It seemed like he was hitting every three at the
Yeah.
start of the season, but I think he might be taking less threes for a reason. But we all know he can knock them down if he needs to, and we all know the defense is there. He has been assigned with some of the toughest matchups in the league so far. Ryan Dunn's been fantastic. You mentioned the 2 point guards as well, Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. Tyus Jones has been as good, if not better, than advertised. And Monte Morris, I think he needs more playing time, but I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And another point that you brought up that I was gonna say is it's funny because the episode that I had Romp on, like that's right when Durant went down with his injury, and I even said at that point, I said, we were talking about who's the front runner for MVP, and I said Jokic, but I'm like, hey, I know he's out now, but I would put Kevin Durant behind him because he was playing insane, and he still is playing really good. I feel like he deserves more credit there. And this is all too like while happening where it's like, we know even Devin Booker can be better, and I'm sure he will be better because the last I think it was every season since you guys had the 1 seed year, he's usually picked it up in January, February. So I'm expecting that probably again. Once this in-season tournament and stuff like that is behind us, he's probably going to take it up a notch. And then, especially if Beal can keep playing to this caliber too, and everyone can stay healthy, it's going to be a tough team. So
yeah, and it's not like Devin Booker's been bad. The numbers are still there, but it's just we know he can be better. And I think Bradley Beal's season's been a little overlooked, but that's just because he's missed time. But we all know when they're all three on the court that this team is hard to beat.
I think it's funny too because I know, how big I am on Donovan Mitchell. Him and Booker have kind of had a similar start to the year because the team has had the most success when they're whole, but they haven't really had to dominate or have the ball in their hands as much, or their usage percentage is lower than a lot of previous years. But we know these guys are capable of doing more. So like I said, I feel like come January, I'm sure Booker will have big games. I mean, he had big games when guys were out too, and they still were in those games. Very well could have won some of them. So I think it'll be fine. I think you guys will be good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for the rest of the season. Can't wait to be at least 90% healthy so we can really see what this team can do. Again, to answer your question from the very beginning, staying optimistic, and we'll just see what happens.
Yes, sir. Got to have that sense of gratitude for the Suns. And, speaking on that topic, we can move on to the giving thanks portion of the show. So for this topic, we're just going to talk about whether it's 3 NBA players, teams, or NBA things that we are thankful for because Thanksgiving just happened. It could be you're thankful because you get to watch these guys dominate, whatever, or someone who really had an impact on a team or something like that you're kind of rooting for. Could even be the Suns, or just anything else. So I guess I'll give you the floor first. What would you say are the 3 things you're probably thankful for?
Oh, man, I feel like I'm going to have 5 or 6 or 7. And my 3 answers are probably going to be a whole bunch of answers in one. But first off, I'm just thankful that we have basketball in our lives. Yes. And we have so many different ways to watch it. I know there's a lot of controversy with the national media games and fans being able to watch teams in their own market. But at the end of the day, we can actually just hop on a computer, hop on YouTube, and watch highlights and watch games. So I'm just thankful that we are able to watch basketball. And I know you're an NBA history guy like me, but we are watching one of the best generations and best eras of NBA history right in front of our eyes. We are both analyzing it and breaking it down. So I'm just thankful for basketball in general. And, I know I sound like a biased homer here, but I am thankful for Kevin Durant and especially Devin Booker. Can you believe that Devin Booker is on his 10th year already?
Yeah.
It's time flies, man. My channel was barely just starting around the time we drafted Devin Booker. You know what I mean? He's been in the league 10 years. He's 600 something points away from about to be the Suns all-time leading scorer. And I remember just going to Kevin Durant real quick. I remember I was watching this one Kevin Durant highlight, and I was just like, dude, Kevin Durant plays for the Phoenix Suns, my team that I've been a fan of and that I cover and do YouTube videos on. Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players ever, plays for my team. So I'm thankful for them. Thankful for also Matt Ishbia, our owner, who actually gives a crap about the team and the community and the Phoenix Mercury as well. And he actually spends money and time and invests in his teams and his community. Thankful for so much, man. And the third thing, I'm just thankful that I also have a YouTube channel that we can talk basketball with you and collaborate with you and stuff. And just thankful for the Suns community that I've formed on my channel. And I sort of referenced this earlier about I know I'm giving you a whole bunch of answers.
No, you're good. You're good.
Being in one of the best eras in basketball, so many great players nowadays, like Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, et cetera, et cetera. We are LeBron James, Luka, et cetera, et cetera. We are in one of the best eras of basketball. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully it wasn't too long-winded. I just love basketball, man. I'm thankful to cover it. thankful to be around it and thankful to do videos like these.
For sure. And I like that you mentioned too in there, like thankful to, have the platform to talk on these shows like this too. Cause I think it's pretty cool, and especially like me, like one of the biggest things I might do are like tournaments and stuff like that. Like that's not possible without you guys all in this, and then like maybe my IRL friends and other ones and stuff too. It's like it just won't happen. So I think that's big that you said that there, and just of course basketball in general as well. I'll try and say a few others. I do have a homer pick in here, which is going to sound kind of funny. But I also have two other ones before that one. The first one I'll say, just because he's playing really well, I would say Franz Wagner.
Yes.
Because,
my boy right there.
the Magic, when Paulo went down, I think people thought, the Magic might be done. They're not worth watching. Like, he's made them really worth watching, and, like, he really looks like, it's going to, like, in a way, the first season when Jordan left and, like, Pippen was playing really well for the Bulls and stuff like that, it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? But obviously when Paulo comes back, he's going to be the guy, but we know now that Franz can be that guy if they need it. So I think that's huge for them. The other one I'm going to say is going to be kind of I guess like a really sleeper one, because this is an assistant coach. I went with Jeff Van Gundy.
Ooh, I like it.
Because I am not super high on Ty Lue as much as other people. I've come to this point where I'm not super high on him. But what I will say is Jeff Van Gundy is one of those guys who, as you mentioned, like with, being the historian-minded,
yes.
NBA, like he's one of the older coaches that can implement defensive styles like that, and you're really seeing the Clippers do that right now this year. So I got to give him credit as well. And the third one's going to sound funny, but I'm giving thanks to Patrick Williams because with him missing some games lately, Modest Buzelis and Julian Phillips are getting more of an opportunity. So thank you, Patrick Williams. Don't rush back. Get healthy.
Take your time. Take all the time you need.
Take your time. We are good in Bulls Nation. But those are I guess my three, I would say.
Real quick, when you were talking about Franz Wagner, man, I mean, I know it's still early. I mean, we just got into December, but is he an all-star this year? Because I pulled up his numbers, man. 23 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, nearly 6 assists on 46% shooting. Mm-hmm. And earlier, the Dunk Central had a tweet where they had like Orlando. It just said Orlando, but they show their record. They literally won, I think, 6 or 7 in a row. They lost to the Clippers. It was only like a 5 or 6 point loss. And then they won like another 6 in a row. And it's interesting because when Paulo went down, they did lose a little bit, and it kind of seemed like their season was derailing. And then all of a sudden, man, I think it's because of Franz Wagner and really that collective unit as the Magic are. They just started playing better, and now they're pretty much dominating. Like the Suns play them soon, and I'm kind of scared to play them because we played them a few weeks ago, and I think they beat us. But the Magic are good, man. So I'm glad you mentioned Franz Wagner, man. He's a great player.
Yeah, I know a lot of people right now in the East are talking like Cavs, Celtics is like the two up there, but like I feel like they have the best chance to upset either of those teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Dark horse.
Can't count them out. But we might have a little bit more Franz Wagner later in the show, just to prelude. But why don't we get to the next topic? It's like a little NBA this or that. So there's 3 of these. It's going to be one option or the other. And I'm going to kind of give you a team and maybe like I guess the direction of how you'd choose for each one. And we're just going to kind of go through it. So are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. So we're going to start with a team who's really been trash, to say the least. Like, not to sugarcoat it. Not super bad, but just not up to expectations. The Sacramento Kings. And they have one of these players I'm going to give you is on the team right now. Another one has kind of been rumored maybe to go there. And I guess like based on fit, like which would you rather choose, do you think? So based on fit, would you rather keep Keegan Murray on the Kings, or maybe should they go for a guy like Kyle Kuzma?
I see the vision with Kyle Kuzma. Mm-hmm. And like if we woke up tomorrow or like in a month or so and Kyle Kuzma is the Sacramento King, I see the vision. And I'm maybe I'm crazy for this. I actually really like Kyle Kuzma. I don't know. That's just me. I think he's a great scorer. He's got good size. He's been in the league for a while. But I think the Sacramento Kings really do believe in Keegan Murray, and I think they drafted him for a reason. And it wasn't too long ago where that draft pick was looking pretty solid. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know how he's really been playing this year, but I think they might want to hang on to him unless for some reason the Washington Wizards just dangle a really good deal. I don't think they would trade Keegan Murray for Kyle Kuzma, but and I don't even know if this like answers your question, but I guess I'm going to kind of lean on Keegan Murray. I just think they really believe in him. So I think I'm going to take that if that answers your question.
I would agree. I also think that Keegan Murray is the better fit. And it's kind of crazy because he actually has been having like a bad season, I would say.
Yeah, because I'm like, I haven't heard much about him, to be honest, this season.
The thing is, for me, like, I feel like it's more coaching than anything.
Ooh.
I just feel like it's like a bad situation with him, like in this system with maybe it's because you implement maybe a guy like DeMar to the team. Now he feels like a little bit out of place. Yeah. But I just feel like Mike Brown hasn't used him the right way this year. And I feel like with this team to be most successful, I feel like him being there makes more sense than like Kyle Kuzma. I feel like Kyle Kuzma would only add to the problems of like confusion on offense. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he needs to go somewhere where it's like there's a hole and someone needs to fill in that scoring gap. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. I agree.
But the second one I got for you here is, it's about the Indiana Pacers. And for this one, I'm going to actually focus on, who should be a higher option within the offense. Like scoring option, I would say. On one hand, we got Tyrese Halliburton, who, he's been an all-star a few years and stuff like that. Another option, we have Ben Mathurin. So I know Ben Mathurin's kind of upped his game this year, and he's a little bit younger, but Halliburton's a proven player, of course. Which would you rather say?
I know Tyrese Halliburton has had a rough year and, obviously was on that Olympic team, but didn't really play much, didn't really contribute, but still he was on the Olympic team, got a gold medal. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's like a lingering injury or something, or maybe something they're keeping behind the scenes, but he's clearly not the same. And it's not that he's been like necessarily trash. Like the numbers are still there. He's still a really good player, but is he that Tyrese Halliburton we like knew from a couple years ago that was like taking over the league? Not really, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with Ben Mathurin because he's had a few injuries here and there, but when the dude's healthy, like he is a bucket. And I feel like he has grown his game over the last, year or two, especially this season. And I think because Tyrese Halliburton sort of has that reputation as like he's on the scouting report, like we got to guard Tyrese Halliburton. I think it would be Ben Mathurin because he would even though he is on the scouting report and you want to kind of lock in on him, that might sort of be your X factor, your secret weapon. So I'm going to go with Ben Mathurin.
Yeah, I would also go with Ben Mathurin on this one. This is going to sound a little crazy, but like when I look at Ben Mathurin, I feel like I'm looking at a slightly younger version of Anthony Edwards.
I like it.
It might be a little bold, but I do have a lot of faith in him. And, Halliburton, at least right now, is probably still seen as like the better player, but I think it would be great for him, because one could argue that maybe neither of these guys are the number one option because you also have Pascal Siakam on this team. But true. I think
we're just strictly talking scoring, though.
Right, between these guys too, yeah. Like I feel like it makes more sense where it's like Ben Mathurin and Siakam are the main options, and Halliburton kind of moves more into a Tyus Jones role, but like a little bit more scoring opportunity, if that makes sense. And I think he can do that. I feel like if he did that, like people would maybe slander his name a little less because it's going to be conducive to winning. Like I think you see it a little bit with Darius Garland this season too. Like he's kind of accepted like, okay, I'm not the first scoring option. Some nights I might not even be the second option, but I can automatically give you that 8-9 assists every night. And so, Halliburton's done that in previous years, but I think his shot just hasn't been falling. And I feel like Ben Mathurin has a little more scoring potential.
Absolutely. I agree.
But we can move on to this last one here, and it is Phoenix Suns related. You're gonna like this one because it's a who would you rather between two players, and I think it's gonna be funny this one here. So you can take it however way you want it, but I guess like in here I just had like who's the better fit, better player, whatever, between Yusuf Nurkic and Oso Ighodaro.
Oh man.
Go crazy.
Oh God, this is tough, man. Because at the time of this recording, even if we would have recorded this 2 or 3 weeks ago, Yusuf Nurkic is being slandered, and that's probably not even the right word. He is just Suns fans saying he's the absolute worst player in the league. They totally forgot that last season he was one of our more healthy players, and the Suns played a lot better when he was on the court. And for the most part, Yusuf Nurkic is a double-double machine now. Sometimes he gets played off the court here and there, gets into foul trouble, makes stupid decisions, sort of like DeAndre Ayton sometimes. And also Iguodala, had a lot of great rep coming out of college, was obviously traded for and drafted by the Phoenix Suns for a reason. And I was hyping him up earlier in this show. I've been hyping him up on my channel and stuff. And look, I'm going to sound totally biased here. This is going to be the unpopular opinion. I'm going with Yusuf Nurkic, man, because until proven otherwise, until the stats say so, and until his play says so, and until the Suns start winning without him, if that's the case, Yusuf Nurkic is the better player, and he's still on this team for a reason. If the Suns didn't feel like they could have, if they feel like they could have gotten a better deal, they probably would have traded him this past summer. I still believe in Yusuf Nurkic, man. That's just my personal opinion. Again, as of late, I've kind of been eating a little crow with Yusuf Nurkic because he's been awful.
Yeah.
But he has been battling injuries. Literally, before we went live today, he's going to be out, a week, and he's going to be reevaluated because he's been battling with injuries. So this is now Oso's time to shine and prove that he belongs in the rotation. But again, for right now, as of December 2nd, 2024, I'm going with Yusuf Nurkic.
I think that's
What
fair.
about you?
I think that's definitely fair there. We've agreed on the first two. I'll change it up. I'll go with Oso Iguodala on this one.
That's fair.
I think clearly in terms of upside, he definitely has that. But also like just more so as kind of like a lob threat and more so like being a defensive presence. I think that I would rather have him over Nurkic. But the only other thing I will say, I guess, on this is, hey, wouldn't be the first time that Nurkic was starting over a center that was better than him.
That's fair.
Jokic. But yeah, but no, I don't know. I just feel like I do like what Oso Iguodala's been doing for you. I feel like he's one of the more underrated rookies. So I felt like it was kind of good to put that here because I think we can both agree like Nurkic has, achieved more in the NBA. He has a higher status as a player, but Oso has not been playing that bad, and every game it maybe leans a little bit closer in his direction.
That's what I'm saying, man, because Nurkic is going to be out a week, maybe longer, and we have a few games during that stretch, so this is his time to prove it. And even before that, he was already in the rotation. Like he got like 30 minutes last game, and then some before that. So it's Oso's time to shine.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to say the least, and I think he can maximize that opportunity. So, but we can move on here to another topic, and then we'll get into the last couple fun game things here. And this is, the NBA Cup MVP ladder. So NBA or Dunk Central, whatever it's called now. I still call it NBA Central, but I guess it's Dunk Central to differentiate from NBA Centel. So they came out with like a top 25 NBA Cup MVP ladder thing. And I guess I can pull that up on the screen right here. So I'm going to do that right now. You've seen this recently too?
Yeah.
Yep. So, this is the list we got right here for the Cup MVPs so far. It is the most accurate thing as of now because there's only games tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday. So this is entirely up to date. Is there anything that like shocks you on here or like anything that maybe you agree with? What do you think?
Sort of agree and shocked in the same way. And I'm not trying to hate on Devin Booker here, but Devin Booker, because again, we were talking about him. He hasn't had the best start to his season, but he hasn't been awful either. And again, this is Cup featured. It's only the Cup games. And he has been pretty good in the Cup games, but him being in the top 10 at number 7, that's sort of like, I agree with it, but it's also kind of surprising because there's obviously some fantastic players on this list. And then let me just double check real quick. I know the Bucks have been playing better. Damian Lillard, obviously a big part of that. Giannis at number 9. Again, I know this is just Cup games, so but still, my boy Jalen Johnson being on there, I love it. when he got extended, man, and got that big contract, I was such a big fan of it because I'm such a big fan of him. Yeah, this list is interesting. I mean, Jared McCain being on there as a rookie. I could go on and on, man. This list is wild. But again, I don't really know if that answers your question necessarily, but what stands out to you? Or what are you shocked by, or what do you agree with?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a little bit like what you said. Like, I'm a little shocked that I guess Giannis is below Dame.
Yeah, right. I was like,
might be, I might be hating, but I don't know if SGA should be 3.
Ooh.
I don't know. Like, I haven't felt like he's played up to his par this year, and I know the stats look impressive, but we also got guys like De'Aaron Fox who are in 13th, averaging 37 a game. We got like Damian Lillard averaging 30. Like, we got down here Donovan Mitchell averaging 28, Jaylen Brown averaging 27. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like honestly Jaylen Brown should be higher too. Like 27, 5-5. They're 3-1 in the cup. I know they're not technically in as of right now, and possibly might not even get in. But I mean, to put him 30th is kind of crazy. Like, to put him below Malik Beasley is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that is kind of nuts.
Yeah, especially with those numbers too. Especially if they're just focusing in on the NBA Cup numbers, Jaylen Brown should be a lot higher. There's some surprising names on this list though, man. Like Clint Capella, like
Josh Hart,
Malik Beasley. Like, what are we doing, man? But I don't know. Hey, it's the NBA Cup. It's only been around for 2 years now. It's different, so I guess they're going to treat the MVP different as well.
Yeah, my guy Vucevic, he's actually been playing pretty well this year.
Yes.
And I know the Rockets have been good, but do they need 5 people on here? Like,
I know, right?
5 people is crazy. I mean,
yeah.
I can see Şengün for sure. Jabari Smith has played well. May I even say Dylan Brooks has played well?
Yes.
I would not have Fred VanVleet on here. But yeah,
I have to be a little biased here. My boy Cam Johnson's on there at number 16.
Yes,
I love it. Your boy Donovan Mitchell at 20.
Mm-hmm.
The list goes on. Dyson Daniels has had a fantastic season. Derek White's a great player. I'm just going to ignore Draymond Green because I don't like Draymond Green.
Facts. Yeah, I wonder how different this list would be if the Celtics had beat the Hawks. I also wonder how different it would be if they had lost to the Cavs.
And that's what kind of makes it interesting is like maybe 1 or 2 losses or whatever could change this whole MVP list. That's something to think about maybe going forward in the future.
Yeah. Only on a list like this will you see Dylan Brooks above Jaylen Brown in the MVP ladder. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. It was kind of weird, like seeing a lot of names. But I will say I do believe Franz Wagner should be first. I think that is right.
Yep. I feel like I sort of overlooked that because I just saw all the names on here and was just completely ignoring who was on top. We've been hyping him up all show, man. I mean, the numbers don't lie. His numbers for the NBA Cup are better than the numbers that I read earlier in the show. He's been fantastic, man. And obviously I'm not an Orlando Magic fan, but I was really cheering for them last year. They had a fantastic season last year. Game 7 of the first round, man. They obviously won enough games to get into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're like, quote, rebuild is fully over, but like you're a team that has like expectations now. Mm-hmm. And Franz is a big part of it.
And he didn't really play that well at the end of that series too. So like if he's playing like this next playoffs, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. But we can keep it pushing here to the last few things here on the show. So we got an honor of the week, which is just like a 1-minute section with a former player. And I know you're going to know who this former player is. You'll have 1 minute to talk about them with the highs or the lows, however you want. And I will say it is a former Phoenix Suns player. And he didn't play too long ago. He played in like the mid-2010s and stuff like that. So you'll have 1 minute. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the player you can talk about for a minute, however you want, is Brandon Knight.
I'm so glad you chose this player because, if you guys are going to subscribe to my channel, if you ever want to check out my channel was very young when we had Brandon Knight. And for the most part, he was pretty healthy with us. And this was back when we were winning, 20-something games here and there. I was a big fan of him, man. The dude could straight up score. I don't really remember too much else about his game besides the fact that he could legit score. And he obviously battled injuries and fell out of the league, got dunked on by DeAndre Jordan and all that. I think that might have been before he came to the Suns, but you get the point. But the dude was a bucket, man. And that was back in the day with like Eric Bledsoe and a young Devin Booker, I believe, and just so many different players back then. The Suns were a completely different team. We didn't even have a culture back then. We had a terrible owner. We were going through coaches left and right. But again, man, that scoring was always there. The dude was a bucket, man. I think he averaged like 20-something with us during his time with the Suns and probably a little bit afterwards, man. It's again, I know you're one of the big NBA history guys like I am. I'm not, and this is very low on the what if list, but like, would Brandon Knight still be in the league now if he was somewhat healthy? Would he be like coming off of your bench like a seventh man who can just get you a few buckets here and there? You know what I mean? Like, he's probably like 30 something now.
Probably
he could
like
probably still play in the league. Yeah, like if he were somewhat healthy, he could probably still be in the league, man. So I always kind of have a soft spot for Brandon Knight because I remember making videos about him and watching him night in and night out. And the dude was a bucket. And if we're going to kind of talk flaws, just wasn't necessarily always super consistent, wasn't much of a playmaker. I don't remember him being much of a good defender. I don't know how he was in the locker room. I don't know how he was as a veteran. I'm going to put that in quotations. You know what I mean, though? So just sucks, man. Injuries derailed his career, but once a Sun, always a Sun, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's funny because the season you guys got him, that was when you guys brought him in, and then that's when you traded away like Goran Dragic and Eric Bledsoe too. Like that season with Milwaukee, like I feel like people forget, like he probably should have been an all-star that year, And then the crazy thing too is once he came to the Suns, like his next season was probably even better statistically. Like that was probably his best season.
That's why I was excited for him, man.
Yeah. So it was big. I feel like he probably had his best years like right there, like when he was with the Suns. So I knew that would probably have a special place in your heart because he's known for mistakes. Probably has some of the most notable like low reel moments. Yep. But hey, I think he still was a quality player, and he lasted pretty long, and that was too in like his fourth season. Which can you think about a guy in his fourth season being an all-star? You're thinking of like great players. Like right now, this is Alperen Şengün's fourth player. We're thinking of him as like a guy who's going to be around for a while. Yeah. Like Cade Cunningham or Franz Wagner, as we said. So like I think that just says a lot.
And again, the NBA was in a different place back then too. The game was played just a little bit different. This was before the Warriors started dominating the league and all that. But still, the game of basketball is to put the ball in the basket, and Brandon Knight was really good at that.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree with that. But we can move on here to close out the show with the little mini game. So as I said beforehand, talking about my guy D Rose who retired before the season. The mini game is very centralized to him. I call it the Rose Gold Trivia mini game. So there's going to be 5 questions. The first and last question, it's either going to be an all or nothing, but I would say the first question is kind of an easier one that you could probably get. The last one might be a little bit harder. And then questions 2 through 4 in the middle, you can get partial credit depending on how close you are. It's going to be like number-based things. So should be pretty good. At maximum, you can get 10 points for each question, so that's 50 total points. So are you ready?
I believe so.
So we'll see if you know this first one. I feel like it's a pretty popular play. I think you probably know it as a Phoenix Suns fan. You might even know it before I even bring it up, but we'll see. So what former Phoenix Suns point guard did Derrick Rose once dunk over for an iconic highlight play?
My boy, Goran Dragic, recently retired. Recently had that game over in Europe. It was like a charity game, but there was like all these like players and celebrities and all that there. He dunked on Goran, man.
He did dunk on Goran. That is correct. I feel like that's probably Derrick Rose's best moment against the Suns. Although I think he did have like a game winner against Mikal Bridges too.
I think so.
So
one of those with the Wolves.
He was with the Wolves.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah. But because you got it correct, that was an all or nothing. It seemed pretty easy, but that was a 10-pointer right there. So you got 10 points already. Good start.
10.
We'll see how well you do on this one. So, number 2, now for every one season you are away, you'll get one less point. So, if you're one season away, you'll get 9 points, 2 seasons, 8 points. If you're more than 10 seasons away from the correct answer, you're not going to get any points. What year was Derrick Rose's most efficient season in terms of like true shooting percentage?
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
I know he won the MVP in 2010, right?
2010-11, yes.
You know what? This might sound a little crazy. You would think it's probably his MVP season, but I'm going to go 2012. I don't know why. Something's telling me 2012.
So the season after the MVP?
Yeah, season after the MVP, 2012. I don't know why. I could be dead wrong. I don't know.
Okay. So it is not 2012, but you are not too far away to not get any points. You got 3 points because you were 7 seasons off. It was the Timberwolves year that we were just talking about, the 2018-19 season.
Damn, I should have stuck with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just figured, like, you just won your MVP. That's great. Your numbers are going to look good, but, like, maybe it's the season after you have, like, your most efficient season, I don't know.
It's funny you say that, too, because, like, the MVP season was obviously his best season, but I firmly believe, like, he was a better player his season after. You know what I mean? So
that's kind of why I thought that, too.
Yeah, I like that you bring that up because, like, MVP season, I think he was talked about as like top 5. I feel like he was really mentioned as like a top 3 player in the league in that season after. Then the ACL happened, and obviously we know it, but like still, like that is cool that you kind of brought that up. So you still get 3 points though for that. So you didn't go away empty-handed.
Cool.
There. So the third one, this is another one that's kind of Suns related. So for every game you are off, you will get one less point. How many games did Derrick Rose play against the Phoenix Suns in his career?
Ooh, great question.
So he was in the East a lot. He did play a little bit in the West, and he also maybe missed some games here or there. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm thinking more of the games he missed than the games he played.
We know at least 2 games that we mentioned earlier. The games that you want to forget.
70 games. I don't know.
Against
70 games.
You're going with 70 games against the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah. I don't know. I could be way wrong. I was at one of those games, by the way. He didn't technically play, but I went to the Suns Grizzlies games last year. He was there. He was warming up. I have a photo of it. I don't know why. I'm going 70. I don't know.
So he's rolling with 70.
And way off.
Unfortunately, that was way off. It was 20.
Dang, man. I don't know why I said 70. I feel like he was in the league for like 30, 40 years.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it was. I think he probably had an opportunity to play about 30, but missed about 10 of those. So
yeah, I mean, if he was in the East, they only played 2 times. Yeah, I don't know why I said 70.
It's okay. There are 2 more questions left, and the last one you could get the big bonus one. We'll see. But number 4. Now this is for every point you are away, you will get one less point. How many, Derrick Rose obviously went to college at Memphis. How many points per game did Derrick Rose average in college at Memphis?
24.
So you're rolling with 24?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it is not 24, but you still did get a point. It was actually 14.9. Yeah.
Whoa.
It was very low, space, like low possession games, So
yeah,
it was a little tough, but you still did get a point there. So right now you got 14. We'll see if you can get this last one. This last one, if you get this correctly, you will get an automatic 10 points, but you only get one guess at it. It's all or nothing. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. And I feel like this is definitely a gettable one. We'll see. So the last one, how many sisters does Derrick Rose have?
3.
You going with 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is not.
I feel like that's sort of a trick question, too.
It was a trick question. He doesn't have any sisters.
Yeah, I knew that, too. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, does he have any sisters, like, at all? That also could have been like, he has like 5 or 6 sisters. I don't know.
He actually has 3 siblings. They're all brothers.
Ooh, dang. I was on the right path. I just didn't get the right answer.
You know what? I do feel kind of bad. I'm gonna give you an extra point for that.
Yeah, let's go.
So I'm gonna give you a bonus point because you had the siblings correctly. It's just they were brothers, not sisters. But yeah, I did word that a little bit. That was a little bit of a tricky one of the ones I've done. So in total, still got 15 points. How do you feel?
Feel pretty good, man. I feel like I messed up on the Derrick Rose. How many games did he play against the Suns question? I should have thought way less. I didn't want to be rude though to your goat.
Hey, that is fair. You know, I'll take a way more than way less. If you had said like 2, then I mean, I guess it could have been okay because we were talking about the 2 good games he had. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so still 15 points. I will say that is somewhere in the middle of the contestants so far this season. May not be the best, but it's not the worst either. So
let's go.
It's pretty good. But yeah, I feel like overall it was a pretty good show. I'm glad we could collab on this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. You got anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
Yeah, if you guys are just watching me or both of us for the first time, subscribe to both of our channels. If you want to know what's going on with the Phoenix Suns, I got you covered. I'm always posting on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. And if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. So subscribe to Suns Geek and subscribe to Super Mario Hoops 24.
And what should they do to the like button?
Hulk smash that like button. Seriously, guys, it helps both of us out. Crush that like button.
Yes, sir. Hulk smash the like button. I have Suns Geek stuff down below in the description. You guys can check him out. But I feel like most of you guys probably know who he is by now. I mean, come on. This is like probably close to our like 10th collab or something on my channel. And we've done many on his. I'm sure we'll have many more to come. So you definitely want to subscribe to him as well. But again, I'm glad we could collab on this. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. And we're out. Peace.